Good morning, dear Stitchers. It's Judy with JBW Designs. Did you have to laugh at watching me here? I wasn't sure when I started the video if it actually was working, so I was kind of peering at the symbol there. So you can tell I haven't done this for quite a while. So welcome back. I am so grateful to have you all, to have you watching and subscribing and commenting and liking. I just so appreciate all of our interactions. It just means the world to me. And yes, I have been gone again for a very long time. It's been almost over 4 or 5 weeks. And it's just, life happens, right? And that's kind of, I had the best of intentions. I was going to do a video 2 weeks after the last one, but things kind of fell apart. So I'll give you a brief explanation, and then we'll move on to all the things that I want to cover today. So as I call it, this is kind of a series of funny things and not so funny things that happened. So the first thing was that my husband and I were doing gardening a couple weeks ago, and I tell people that I hurt myself gardening, and I was taking heavy loads of dirt, off to the woods, and we were planting pots and all of that. But what truly happened is that he had talked to me about some garden things that I thought we were going to throw away, and I had tossed them actually in the bin. And he said, well, I think we need to use these. And I thought, oh dear, I've thrown them away. So I went into the garage, and the bin is quite deep, and I leaned over to try to retrieve these items that were at the very bottom, and I think I pulled a muscle in my rib cage. It was very, very painful. So that was kind of like first chapter. And then a couple days later, I developed a very, very deep cough, and it actually lasted for almost 2 weeks. So if my voice sounds kind of hoarse, I will be sipping my tea while I'm doing this today. So I finally went to the doctor, and she diagnosed that I had asthma. And I have had asthma off and on, but nothing like this. I mean, it really was so painful. It was the coughing and the mess that I made with my ribs, and so it just lasted a long time. But I'm so relieved and happy to tell you that I'm feeling almost back to normal. I still have a little bit of a cough left, but nothing like the last couple weeks. So I couldn't do anything. I could do things around the house, and I kept working in my office, but certainly would never be able to record a video. So I'm back. The first thing I want to talk about is I had to actually go back. I couldn't even remember what the topic of my last video was, and I talked a lot at the very end about this amazing act of kindness that had occurred in my life. And that really touched a chord in so many of you. Many of you wrote to tell me that it kind of inspired you to do something yourself, and told me stories about things that had happened to you in your lives. It really was very, very heartwarming. And I went back yesterday and read all the comments again, and one of the ones that really stuck out to me was a second grade teacher wrote, and I have a fondness, of course, for teachers because my husband and I were both teachers, and she wrote about, she does a unit on, she does several units, but this has to do with heart. And I think that is exactly what she's trying to do with these young children, is to teach them to care about others. And I thought that is so powerful and so important. So I just love that story. And I have another kindness story to tell you about, and I'll try to do it quickly, but it was kind of ironic in a way. So my brother and sister-in-law came to visit, it was just after I recorded the last video. They were here over Mother's Day weekend. And I told them the story about, this amazing act of kindness. and they just thought that was wonderful. And that weekend, while they were visiting us, we were having everybody over on Sunday, Mother's Day, and there were 17 of us. And so they knew that we had a lot of work to do to get ready. So one of the nights they were here, they went out to dinner, just the two of them. And they just searched for a restaurant and went to it. And it was Saturday night. It was very busy. And they sat at the bar. And they were so excited to tell me this story the next day. So they just started talking to the couple that sat next to them. And, you know, they found out they had lots in common, and they just chatted the whole time and really enjoyed one another's company. And when they got up to leave and to pay the bill, the waiter said to them, "Your meal has been covered." And they were just so struck by what a generous gift that was from a complete stranger. And my brother Tom was laughing. He said, "There must be something in the air here in Kalamazoo." Yes, it's kindness, right? So I love that story. So we're passing it on, right? We need to keep doing it. So my first topic for today is always the finishes that I have received that my viewers have either emailed me or they've told me about on Instagram, or things that have appeared on my Friends of JBW Designs Facebook page. So I have a lot of them, of course, because it's been so long. So I'm going to share those with you first, and then I'll tell you about my next topic. And I'm going to take a quick sip of tea. All right. So the first one, I love this. This is the I have to remember what the name of it is. Georgian floral design that came out for Nashville. And this was done by Susan at Keepsakes in Ohio. And Susan does the most magnificent finishing. So I was so excited when they sent me this picture of her finish. So she took the design and mounted it and made it into a pillow, and added that beautiful, probably antique lace trim, and then the rickrack around the edges. So I thought, I've got to show my viewers how pretty that turned out, because I love seeing, we've had people show it framed. I love seeing your finishes. So, of course, this is what the booklet looks like. That was probably my most popular release from the Nashville market. And then this next one is kind of a neat story. Here, I'll fold this back here. So this is from Angela, and she did the Bluebird of Happiness sampler. The amazing thing is she did this on a 32 count fabric over one thread. I forgot to ask her. I could look it up actually what the size of this is. It has to be quite small. And her fabric that she used was old stationary linen. So the neat thing that she told me in her note is that she is part of this group, and it's called the Stitchers of Status in Memphis. And she said she wasn't able to go to their last meeting. Actually, their members are from all over the U.S., but she wanted me to see how beautifully this turned out. So thank you, Angela. Thank you for sending that. And of course, this is what that booklet looks like. I don't think I ever wrote in here. Well, over 2 on 32, it's 11 by 7. So over 1, it'd be about 5.5 by 3.5. It would be just stunning. So the next thing I have to show you actually goes right along with one of my themes for today. And this is from Lynn. And she finished 5 ornaments from one of my Ornament Collection booklets. And it happens to be the book number 5. And I just thought, they turned out so beautifully. And I don't know that you can probably see, maybe just a touch. She did all of the edges, I think on all of them, are done with beads. And so I just thought that was just gorgeous. And the time that it took to do it, but they're just stunning. She even, if you study the tops, the holders of each ornament, each of the holders is done in beads also. So that booklet looks like this. There are 20 ornaments in the booklet. This came out 2 years ago, and so that she chose 5 out of this booklet. I'm going to put that aside. I might need that later. The next one is an older design. It's actually called Alphabet Hearts, and I believe this came in an email, and this is my mistake. I forgot to record who sent this picture, and I am so sorry, but I'll show you the booklet in a minute. This was done on a striped linen, I think it's from Fabric Flair, and what I love about her finish is she's mounted it on a fabric background, and then you can see she has it sitting on an easel. And I just thought, please, if you're watching this, let me know who you are, and I'll make sure I recognize you in the next video. But this is what the booklet looks like. So it's actually a very long design, and it is I can't show you the chart, of course, but it's actually a 4-fold. So the chart is quite easy to read. So I thought that was a beautiful finish. Here's another one. I think I forgot to write down who sent it to me. I just love this. This was, I believe, an anniversary or a wedding gift. And she did my design love, and she found this gorgeous frame to put it in. I just thought that was stunning. So again, if you're watching, remind me, and I'll try to take better notes next time. And this is what the love booklet looks like. So I always felt like this would be a beautiful wedding gift, anniversary gift, etc. You could always put names and dates on it too at the bottom. So that's the love pattern. And again, this is her stitched finish. Looks just beautiful. Then the next one is from a viewer named Sheila. And, oh gosh, okay, it just came to me. Sheila and several of her friends have a wonderful video called the Sunshine Stitchers, and I'm sure you have seen them before. And Sheila is really good about sending me pictures of things of my designs that she's finished. And Sheila, this was so clever. I just loved it. So she took the English plum pudding design, and she finished it as a, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It's like a cover for a teapot. It came to me finally. And I just thought that was charming, just charming. So this booklet is still available, although it's a very old booklet. But I'm going to tell you, if you are falling in love with this design, where you can find the design these days. Did I pull that out? Yes, I did. Okay. This is what it looks like as an ornament. And it appears in, yes, the Ornamnet Collection 2 booklet. So if you're just have such a yen to stitch that, that it would be a good source for you. So this next one is just gorgeous. And again, I forgot to write down who sent this to me. I need to do better. It's just beautiful. So this was, I want you to study this. So this is my Fleur de Alphabet design, and it's only stitched in 2 colors. So she chose 2 colors of blue, and this finish is just exquisite. She chose a beautiful fabric for the outer edges to make it into a pillow. And then look at it sitting on a bed with blue bedding. It's just a sight to behold. I just loved it. So I think I talked to you about this in the last video. This is one of those booklets where the design in person is so beautiful. I shouldn't be bragging about it, but I do think it turned out well. And even the photograph in the booklet doesn't give you, a true sense of what it looks like in person, but stitched in person, it looks so much better. So you have to trust me on this. So this is the Fleur de Alphabet design, and it's the whole alphabet. They're very, they're taken from old French alphabets that are very, very graceful and pretty, and there are all kinds of vines and leaves, etc., that are filled in around the letters. So again, just lovely. The next one, I'll show you the finish, but it is a book that's out of print. And this was from Josie. And this, oh, do I have it upside? Yeah, it's right. Okay, this is called To the Sea. And as I say, this is quite old. There's actually, the alphabet is running through the bottom of this design here. And it says at the top, my soul is longing for a journey to the sea. You might be able to find this on the secondary market. I forgot to look it up to tell you when it was published. As I say, it's a very old pattern, but she did such a beautiful job. She too finished this as a pillow with a beautiful red and white striped cording, and she's got a little pin up here at the top. It's just darling. So Josie, thank you. And she said to me that she used the initials in here of her friends. And she also told me we met at a retreat, but sometimes oops, oh no. Sorry about that, I disappeared. Sometimes I have trouble remembering that. I recognize faces, sometimes I don't always recognize the names. So the last one I have to show you is from Linda B. And she did a recent design, the Bees in the Round. It's probably hard to see this with the glare, but what I love about her finish is she's finished it in a frame as a square. And I thought that was quite striking, because most often it seems with my rounds that people are finishing them as rounds, but I really think this is a really nice just alternate way to finish it. And of course this is the booklet that is part of that design, and it's called Round Bees. So thank you for letting me share those with you. It's always fun to show you some things that our viewers have been doing. So let's see. The next topic has to do with questions. So I love it when you ask me questions. And I actually had a viewer or a comment in my last video from someone that asked me, she thought I'd owned a shop at one time. And I said, no, I actually have never owned a shop. But that kind of sparked an idea for the next video. And that is, I watched a couple of videos lately where the presenter has said, ask me questions. I'm happy to answer them. And I thought, oh, I haven't done that before. I'd love that. So if you have things you've been wanting to ask, within reason, of course, I will be reading these carefully. I'd be happy to answer questions in one of the next videos coming up. So think about that. So ever since we came back from our trip in March and April, I have felt just kind of this, what can I say, just, it's not worries, but concern about how I felt like I was behind in designing. Usually when we go to Florida, I usually take things with me to work on, and this year I didn't. And when I got back, I actually had two things I had to design. That one was for a guild, and one was, I'm trying to think what the other, oh, I know, for a shop, and which won't be published for a while. So I had to address those first. But what is on my mind is that our next show, our wholesale market, is not until the end of August. But I really needed to get cracking and get some things designed. So I always keep a notebook of ideas, things that I think about or people suggest to me going forward. And so I went to the notebook and started brainstorming about what am I going to do next. And people have said to me, are you ever going to do another ornament booklet? And I always said, I don't think so. First of all, because there are 20 in the booklet, that is a lot. And I just didn't know that I could pull together another collection of 20. So, but I put my thinking cap on and thought, you know what, I think I can do this. So one of the things I need to do is I have to go back through the so I have 100 ornaments in the first 5 booklets. I need to go back and whatever I'm going to put in the next booklet, of course, cannot have appeared in a previous one. And that means going back. I often in these booklets use patterns that were designed, are still being sold, but they're older patterns. So the first thing I did was I made a list of all the designs that I had that had never been published before that I thought I could put in a new booklet. And then I realized I needed to design probably 7 or 8 new ones, which was fine. They're fun to design. It just takes a while to do that. So I'm going to show you kind of a sneak peek of some of the ornaments that are going to appear in Ornament Collection 6 booklet. And that won't come out till the end of August, but these booklets have been really popular. I think one of the reasons is that the ornaments are so small. You can stitch them usually in a night or two. So I'll show you a few of the new ones and some of the old ones that I'm going to be using, and then that's going to lead into my next topic. So I have, after I got all of the ideas for the ornament booklet, I have 3 other things. I have 2 other models that are designed and stitched. I'm working on the 4th one. The 5th one is still being charted, so I'm coming along. I'm feeling better and less rushed. And it probably sounds odd to you because this show is really 2 months away, but the timeline for getting things charted, stitched, photographed, finished, of course, and then to the graphic artist and the printer is quite a long timeline. So designers always have to kind of plan ahead for that. So I did pick up flowers from the garden for you today, so I hope you're enjoying those. All right, so let me show you some of the pieces that are going to be in the Ornament Collection 6 booklet. So here's the first one, and this was finished by my friend Karen, who has done a lot of finishing for me lately. She's just so clever. This is a little church in a bell shape, and I have these little tags that I sell, and I sent her the wooden tag, and I said, I think that might work really well for this particular shape. So she mounted it on the wooden back and then put cording around the edges and a little pearl pin and some bells at the top, and I just loved how that turned out. So that's one of the new ones in book 6. This is an older design. This is one of my French country designs, and this is Angel. And this design has never appeared in my ornament booklets before, but I thought, oh, this would be beautiful. It's, as I say, it's an older piece. Now, all of the ornaments that I'm going to be showing you right now are stitched over 1 on either 25 or 28 fabric. And I don't want you to be discouraged about what my models look like, because in the booklet I always give finished sizes for not only the over 1, of course, but for over 2 on 32 or 36 or on Ada, because there are a lot of people who are not comfortable stitching over 1, and I understand that. But I just love the way she looks, and this was finished by Mona quite a few years ago, and it's just beautiful. It has the ruched ribbing around the edges. So the next design, it's funny because sometimes I look back and I thought, oh, I thought I used that, and then I have to search to see, did I really? So this has never appeared in a booklet either. This was a little French country sleigh. Of course, it's so tiny, it's quick to stitch. I think I originally did it in red. I thought I'd do it in green this time. I actually finished this one myself, and I'm going to talk about that in my next segment. So it's backed with a cute little small print, and then I used twisted cording around the edges, a little bow at the base, and just a little ribbon for a tie, and then I added a little charm and some beads to the top of this one. All right, the next one that's going to appear in the booklet is Sledding Snowman. there are two different books, Sledding Snowman and Sledding Santa. And this is the Santa one. I'm going to show you another model of this in a little while, and I have a funny story to tell you about it. But I just think he's so cute. Would be darling worked, or she would be darling worked over 2 on a 32 or a 28 count or on an Ada. It has, let's see, I think I put a little bead at the end of his little cap there, or her cap. So that reminds me, speaking of beads, I got a letter, and let's see, actually it's right here, from somebody yesterday. Let me tell you who. I'll just give you a first name. And her name is Ginny, and she lives in Georgia. And she wrote to ask me about, she's trying to find beads for one of my designs. And I meant to research this before I got started today, and I forgot to, but she can't find them. And I thought, oh gosh. So she wants to know, where to get them. So my first thought is she needs to, maybe she doesn't have a shop anywhere near her, but she can go on Hoffman Distributing website. They list all the shops that are in a state she might be able to find a shop near her, or look at on the mail order catalogs. They probably carry beads. The beads are made by Mill Hill, which are sold by Witchelt. So they are available. Many shops have them as part of their inventory. So when I write back to her or call her, I just want to tell you the beads are available. And sometimes you can even find beads at Hobby Lobby and substitute. It doesn't have to be a Mill Hill bead. It doesn't have to be the exact number that I call for. So, okay, my voice is getting scratchy. All right, this is another new design that's going in the new booklet, and it is a mitten. And I love taking motifs and just combining them into a shape. And so this one was really fun to put together. This was finished by Karen also, and I've forgotten, did she tell me? I've forgotten, Karen. I think she might have gotten this little, it's a little like a breadboard at Hobby Lobby. It actually says on the back, la la la. So I'll have to look at her notes again to double check. But again, her finishing is beautiful. She just mounted it on this little wooden board and put the twisted cording around, and it's got a little hanger up here at the top, and then the little pearl at the very top. So I love how that one turned out. Here's another design that's going to appear in the booklet. I realized that this little sled has lost, it's got a little handle that's supposed to go on the top. I'll have to go and search for that. This appeared in, I've forgotten which booklet originally. So it might be red sleds. So there's a green sled booklet and there's a red sled booklet. All right, that's a lucky guess, right? And there are 3 designs in that booklet. And this is just a Noel design. The sleds actually, when you order them, are a dark brown when they come. And I like to brighten them up a little bit, so I usually just spray paint them. And then they're not hard to finish, and I will talk to you about that in a little while. So that will be in the booklet. Incidentally, these also come in, oh my goodness, I keep doing something weird and losing my screen. You won't be surprised, right? So these come in several sizes. So the little size fits the over 1 model, but there's a larger size that fits the over 2 beautifully. Maybe I'll show you that in another video. And then the last design, and this is a new one, is just a tiny little chalet, and this too was finished by Karen on a little tiny box that she found. And let's see if I can open it to show you. There's even a little padded lining inside. Wouldn't that be cute for a little tiny Christmas gift? But that is one of the other designs that's coming out in the new booklet. So that's a little sneak peek for you. I don't usually tell you ahead of time what I'm working on, but I thought, oh, I think they would really enjoy seeing those. So now my next segment is going to be And it's going to be, I'm already at almost a half an hour. It's going to be kind of like a synopsis of what are the basic things that I use to finish ornaments. And I always like to say to people, I am not a professional finisher. I've picked up hints from the people that do the finishing for me. Yes, it can be time consuming, but it's so satisfying when you do it and you figure out, I don't have to pay somebody else to do this. I can do it myself. So that's going to be my encouraging words for today. You can do it yourself. So I'm going to, let's see, let me move some things over because I have, all right, other things that I want to move into place. So I pulled out, I don't know, 8 or 10 ornaments that appeared in previous booklets, and I'll show you those. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to walk through, this is what I start with, this is the next step, etc., etc. And I've done this before, but you know, I get new viewers. Some people like a review of how this is done, so that's what this is today, kind of a review. So the first thing is, and this idea came from one of my professional finishers, I use what's called, it's just a piece of board, but it's called comic board. And why is this so great to use for finishing? So matte board, as you know, is very hard to cut. It has to be cut with a knife. It is difficult to cut with scissors with any accuracy. And the beauty of comic board is that it can be cut with scissors. And the other thing that you need to know, especially if you're finishing an ornament, let's see, do I have one here that, oh, I don't really, here's a tree shape. Okay, if you're finishing something and you need to cut a shape that's not, you know, just a rectangle or a circle, you're going to need to make a template for yourself. And so the easiest way to make a template, and I'll show you some samples of these, is to take a finished ornament that you've already stitched and you put it down on your printer and you just make a black and white copy or color copy of it, and then that becomes your template for the shape that you're trying to finish. So for instance, I made a template of the Noel, so I had the right shape for the little sled piece. I've done templates of the stockings. I have done templates of a triangular shape. This is the one that really helps tremendously. If you're doing a stocking, you lay the stocking flat down and it gives you the exact outline that you're going to need to cut out of your comic board that I just showed to you. So you can see I've made a copy of one that's already finished, but you get the gist of it. So after you make that copy, then you just have to draw a line around that, like a 1/4 inch margin, so that you know what to cut out of your board. So so now we've got our comic board. We have made a template, and not always do you need to make a template. I have a hint for if you are doing round ornaments. It really helps to use a compass, and what I do is I measure the width of the piece and just make a circle. I used to run all over the house and looking for round things that were the right size. How foolish. This is so easy, and you can make your circle any size you want to. I've used it when I finished my rounds. So that's another hint for you. All right, let's see here. The next hint is going to be, after you've cut out your shape, all right, let me pull this out. So here I've cut my circle out of the comic board. Oh, let me go back to the comic board. I've gotten notes of where to buy it. So we actually have, it's kind of strange, a comic book store here in Kalamazoo. I can actually go and buy packages of it there. But it is on Amazon. Now, the only problem is that the packages are usually packages of 100. And you can get 9 by 12 sometimes I order the larger sheets because I need it for other projects. But what I say is, you'll be surprised at how much of that you're going to use, and share it with your friends. Hopefully you have stitching friends. Say, look what I bought for you, and it'll be perfect. So after I've done my cutting out my cardboard, then I need to add some padding to the base, basically, of what I've just cut out. And I have two different things that I use. A lot of people use batting. I find it a little unwieldy at times, so I have chosen to do two other things. So you can buy felt at Hobby Lobby, probably at Michael's too, that has an adhesive backing to it. You can see I've cut pieces out of this. So I use this often when I am looking to put padding on my cardboard. Now that itself is very thin, but you can add several layers of that, or you can start out with a thicker felt. You can see the size of this. Let's see. I was trying to see what the centimeters is. It doesn't matter, but you can start out with this and just cut it out and then glue it to your base. And you can, again, do several layers of it if you want more padding on your piece. So now the next step is, I have to look at my notes, make sure I do this in the correct order. So the next step is going to be, let's see here. And I'm going to show you some finished ornaments, and then I'll talk to you about kind of the steps I used for those. So usually if you're doing, for instance, like a round ornament, we'll pull up this little one, you're going to need something for the backing, and of course your design is going on the front. So I'm going to find one of my prints in my stash, I'm going to cut a circle of that, and I'm just going to glue it to my cardboard. I don't usually pad the back of it, I just leave that flat. And then you're also going to, let's see, let's go back to this. You're going to take your design, this doesn't fit on this, but this is a good example, and you're going to want to glue it to your cardboard. And I use this Aleene's tacky glue, and it works beautifully. I have another hint for you. If you're doing a design, let's see here, I'll show you this one, that has straight edges, you can use a double-sided tape instead of glue. And the reason glue can be finicky, because first of all, it can be messy as you're trying to get your not only your design glued to the front, but the backing glued, of course. And in one of the steps I'm going to tell you, you don't want your glue too close to the edges, because I hand stitch my pieces together, and if there's too much glue, you're not going to be able to do that. So this double-sided tape, I think it's 1/4 inch wide, that works beautifully on a design that is a square or rectangle, horizontal. And I just put the tape on the back, and then you can miter the edges and fold the pieces in. So that's kind of a little helpful hint too. So you have two steps here. Let's see. All right, here's an example or a sample of a design that it's not centered well, and that's one thing you have to check about. But I've just glued that fabric back to the edges. Some people do take a basting stitch around when they're doing a round and pull it in. I just tend to pull it to the back and pleat it in place and try to get the edges nice and smooth. So the next thing that you're going to have to do then is to take that front and the back piece, these don't match but it's okay, and I like to sew them together. So here's a sample of the design. I think I used glue on that one, but the mitered corners, the backing, and as you can see down here, I hand sew these together. I think they fit better than trying to glue them together and add more glue to the whole thing. So I hope that kind of helps you with that part. Let's see, the next thing is you'll need to think about what you want to do as your trim. So I've pulled out a couple samples here, and all right, let's pull this one out again. Rickrack can be a darling trim. So think about this. You've glued your two pieces together. And you have to think about, what am I going to use for a hanger? You want to add that to the top. So, or you've sewn your two pieces together, and you might want to insert that between those two pieces so that you have a hanger and you don't have to add it later. And then you're going to add your edging. So there are many options for edging. You can do rickrack. As I've mentioned, you can do ribbon. Here is a pom-pom trim, which makes a darling little trim. Here's another design. These are from some of the older booklets. This is from book 4, another pom-pom trim. So usually you can glue the trim to the edges. That actually works quite well. You could hand sew it, but the gluing actually works well. And usually I add a bow or a pin, this was professionally finished, to the top to cover where the joining is of your trim. So I'm going to quick show you a few more ornaments. So this is the little snowman from book 4. This is a tree from book 2. Here is another Christmas tree. This is from book 3 that uses just the twisted cording. Oh, to make the cording, I use the cording drill from Acrylic. And again, you can go online and look for sources for that. It works like a charm, and they have wonderful instructions on how to make cording. The beauty of making your own cording is you can get it just the color you need for your edging. Let's see, I've shown you that one. Here's another design. This is, oh, I didn't mark this one. Here it is right in front of me. It's in book 5. And this one, I love this finish. I mounted the first part on just a board, but then I made a larger board with 2 more pieces of comic board and mounted that finished piece, so it has almost a frame around it. And then I just added a twisted cording to the back. Here's a round one, and again, just the twisted cording mounted on a backing that's larger than the initial piece. Here's another idea for you. This is an ornament. It's in book 4. It's the cardinal tree, and these are available, these acrylic pieces are available from a shop that is near to me called Stitching Bits and Bobs. And I'll try to remember to put her address in the notes below. And she just makes these lovely acrylic pieces that are just great backings for ornaments. And then I showed you this one. So here are the other 4 booklets in that set that we talked about. Booklet 1. Let's see, I pulled out, I showed you 5. Okay, here's 3, here's 4, and as you know, there are 5 altogether, and a new one is coming. So I hope that helped you a little bit with and encouraged you to try to do the finishing yourselves. If you have questions about that, that would be a great thing to ask. So I just have a few more things. I've gone quite long today. I always like to choose a shop of the week. This time I chose a shop in Texas. I have never been to this shop, but I have seen notes from people on Facebook, and they absolutely said it is charming. So this is called the Tinsmith's Wife. It is in Comfort, Texas. The owner is Susan. You can see her phone number here. I'll try to put this all in the notes below, and also her email address. And she is on my automatic, which means she buys all of my designs as they're released. So if there's something you're looking for, even though this shop might not be close to you, I will encourage you to contact her. I always like to support my shops. The shops that buy from us, either through our distributors or directly, are really so important to the designers. We could not make it without our shops. So that's one of the reasons I really try to mention them. So I always go through my comments and choose 3 names, and if any of the booklets that I've shown you today appeal to you, just tell me what you want and I will send you a prize. Oh, and I also have, this was not, it's interesting, my last 2 videos, I haven't had winners at all, and I like sending out prizes. So I also have these beautiful pins from Jersey Girl Stitch Company, and I'd love to give those away. They would be so pretty on some of the designs that you've done. These are pink and blue. They were used in the Lucia's Smalls, but they could be used in so many designs. Actually, they look beautiful in that Georgian floral basket. So the names today are at IVONP8166. The second name is at Fay, Fay-G6H. And the third name is RMCNICH Florida, or FL. I'm guessing that's Florida. So if you're watching today and you're a winner, congratulations. Just send me an email. Email is really the only and best way to reach me. I'll put that in the notes below. It's judy.whitman Designs. So I'm on this kick of kindness this year, and there's so many wonderful quotes, and I found a new one for you today. I don't think I've read this one before. And it reads, "A single act of kindness throws out roots in all directions, and the roots spring up to make new trees." And that's by Amelia Earhart. And I thought that was lovely, because it's true. You do one act of kindness, and that inspires another. So I just have a few quick life updates. Last time I recorded, we had Mother's Day here. It was the best day. We've had a very wet spring, and it was beautiful. It was perfect that day. So we could be on the porch, we could be out in the backyard, and we just had such a good time together. This weekend is Father's Day, and we are going to our daughters for a picnic on Sunday, and I'm very lucky. I have 4 men in my family who are fathers who we're going to honor that day, and one of them is my husband, our son Mark, our son-in-law Craig, and our grandson Wyatt, who are all parents. So it's very exciting, and I know that not everyone has a father in their life, but I hope that you have someone in your life that you're able to honor on that special day. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my own father. I don't think I've ever mentioned this before. So my dad grew up in the South, and he was one of 4 children. His dad worked on the railroad, and he grew up in Florida actually, and I always so admired what he was able to achieve, because he came of age during the Depression, and his parents, who were not college educated, always wanted their children to go to college. And I think that's just remarkable. So he was able to go to Georgia Tech on a work-study program. I think it took him at least 5 years. But he always referred to himself as the rambling wreck from Georgia Tech. He was very, very proud of that. And we were too, because I just think, thank goodness that he had parents that encouraged him so much, and I'm so proud of what he achieved. So I thought you might want to know that, and I'm missing him this weekend. So how to contact me. I have an Instagram page, judy.whitman. I have a Friends of JBW Designs page, and on Facebook, and you're welcome to join that. And then, of course, my email. So thank you so much for watching. You are just a treasure to me. And I hope to see you sooner this time. Bye-bye.